Hello, Helldivers. Today, there was a new patch that was just put out on the 6th of March. We're going to be going over some of the changes that were made to both the armor and the weapons, as well as some of the stratagems were changed around, and we'll be going over all those here today. So, first of all, one of the biggest changes was made to armor. Armor rating now actually works as intended, meaning that your heavy armor that was probably collecting dust in your armory can now finally be utilized correctly by you. Armor rating does make a massive difference now. I played one mission earlier where I was using the Trailblazer Scout armor with one of the lowest armor ratings in the game of 50. I was dying in about 4 hits from bugs. So I mean it's a massive nerf to these now. Correctly though, as I might point out. I recently broke out the Battle Master armor, however, and was able to tank a considerable number of hits, almost 10, before I felt like I really had to use a stim. So that's a huge change for the armor to make it work correctly now. Other than that, the armor hasn't really changed all that much. The only thing that really was changed was that rating is now correctly applied to your damage reduction or lack thereof. Now, some of the biggest things with the weapons. The one that everybody loves is the SG-225 Breaker Auto Shotgun. This thing got a little bit of a nerf. The damage did not change, and the armor that it can penetrate did not change. However, it did lose 3 shells, going from 16 in a magazine to 13 in the magazine, causing you to have to stop and reload more often than you did before. The recoil was also jacked up pretty massively to 55. It's still only half that of the Punisher, but think something similar along those lines now. It's still probably going to be one of the best shotguns in the game. Have not used it yet myself today. But I can tell you that I don't really think that this is going to make a big dent in how many people are going to end up still using the SG-225. This is still one of the best guns for crowd control. It's still not even just for crowd control, but be able to damage a large opponent like a Brood Commander or even some of the automatons so rapidly is so useful that it's not going to make as big of a dent as I think they might think it does. One of the other ones that was changed around was the SG-225 SP, or the Breaker Spray and Pray. This one was given a little bit more damage, so now it's closer to in line to the Slugger shotgun, but still kind of far away. 192, and the fire rate was jacked up a little bit, up to 330. This thing I'm still a little unsure about. It's good for sweeping through an entire area and just, turning it all into mincemeat. But it still, to me, doesn't really have a spot in my arsenal that I want to use regularly. The Punisher was also changed so that instead of 40 shells that you carry overall, it has now been increased to 60 shells. The damage has not changed on it that I'm aware of, but it has added a stagger effect to anything that you shoot. So one of the things that I was testing it on was a Brood Commander, where essentially, the fire rate gives you enough time to shoot, pump, shoot again, pretty similar to what I just described. And I was able to effectively stun lock a Brood Commander with just the Punisher. Now, I still don't like its overall damage output in comparison to the Breaker Auto Shotty, but it's definitely a more interesting pick now because of that stunning animation that you can cause for some of the big enemies. Yet to try it out on a charger's, broken leg or anything like that, but I really think that this thing is a more considerable choice because of that stun animation. One of the other guns that also got changed was the Liberator Penetrator. This thing got a buff of 5 more points of damage and also added about 5 rounds to the magazine. To me, this kind of makes this gun actually usable. The damage before was just so low that was like, if you shot anything that actually had medium armor, you might have to dump an entire magazine into just that enemy. Or even potentially more. You end up missing a shot or two, and this thing is completely useless. Just those 5 points of extra damage, to me, made a massive difference. I brought it into a solo mission, now granted only on hard, and I was able to actually, feasibly take out a lot of opponents just with this. That's kind of it with most of the equipment. We are going to go over some of the stratagems that were changed, however.
Democracy calls for aid.
Here, I guess I can actually show it over here. So, one of the major ones that changed was the one that everybody knows and everybody loves, the railgun. The railgun, if it is in safe mode, can no longer pierce the heavier armor in the game. So, you're going to have to play on unsafe mode if you want to, say, for instance, pierce a charger's front leg. If you fire in safe mode, this no longer will go through a charger's front leg. It also now takes about 3 shots on unsafe mode to break a charger's front leg instead of the normal 2 that it used to be for a while. Definitely is a nerf to it. But one of the things that I was running into a lot whenever I started using the railgun a ton was that I started to realize that, there's kind of no reason to run it on unsafe mode because it already pierces everything in safe mode. So, there's no point in limiting yourself to how long you can hold down the trigger. It's just better to get more shots out for like your overall DPS values. But really, this forces you to play a little bit more unsafe, and if you want to pierce everything. If you still want to pierce medium armor or lower, just still stick with safe mode, but otherwise, you're gonna definitely want to play on unsafe for piercing some of those heaviest targets in the game. Now, one of the next ones that we're going to go over is, let's see, the flamethrower. The flamethrower got a huge buff, increasing its damage per second by 50%. I have yet to try it out, so I don't know how much of a difference that truly makes, but I think for some of those big enemies that, you would set on fire before, and it would almost kind of ruin it for you, where you would set them on fire and they would just kind of run at you and set you on fire too. Now you have a real opportunity to get them killed before they get to you. And, I used the flamethrower once or twice before, wasn't really a big fan of it. This is definitely going to make me pull this thing out going forward. Next up is the energy shield backpack. This one, they have not told us the value of how much it has changed. Where is it? They have not told us exactly how much the delay has changed, but they have said that the energy shield, whenever it is depleted, it now takes longer for it to recharge back to full. So definitely a nerf to the quote-unquote meta loadout that everyone was running, where everyone just uses the shield generator backpack. This is going to help incentivize you to kind of, play around with some of the different stratagems. Definitely open up opportunity to experiment with different play styles. Something that I was trying to do as I've been taking some of my friends through the lower level content. And I hope will continue to be emphasized throughout the rest of the game. The other big one, to me, is the orbital HE barrages, both the 120 millimeter and the 380 millimeter. Both of these have had a duration increase of the actual bombardment. I want to say it added about 1 or 2 shots per bombardment. And it also decreased the overall spread of it. One of the things I hated with both of these barrages is how unfocused they feel, and just, you know, you put it down on like a nest or something like that, and it maybe kills like 5 things, and like that's it. Like, man, you might as well use an Eagle airstrike or a cluster bomb or something along those lines. Now this thing definitely has a lot more potential to not only get a lot more kills, but maybe seal up a bug hole every once in a while, maybe blow up an automaton facility. Both of these barrages are a little bit better now. The 380 is still one of the things of, like, you know, definitely save it for an occasion like this where it's like there's this big automaton fortress. If you're bringing it to like even like a bug nest, unless it's like a massive one, it's still not going to make that big of a difference, personally. That being said, I definitely think that the 120 millimeter at least though will be a more interesting pick going forward now, as opposed to what it used to be. The next one that we'll go over is the laser cannon. Laser cannon. It has now increased damage against durable enemy parts. It has increased overall armor penetration and improved ergonomics. I'm going to assume what this means because they don't go into explicit detail of what, like, any sort of stat values changed for the ergonomics for it. I'm going to assume that this means that you can turn it a little bit faster now. One of the biggest things that I didn't really necessarily like with the laser cannon was how slow it was to turn. Even some of the machine guns, you know, the first one that you get in the game, as well as the Stalwart, they turn significantly faster than this thing. And their overall killing potential was also better too. So I definitely think going into more of an armor penetration route while still maintaining a better turning speed for them is a lot better for this thing. And I think it's a role that it needed to fill, in terms of like penetrating medium armor or so. Get to use it myself though, so I have not actually seen it in play. And really, I believe that might be it for the stratagems. Doing one last look through real quick. Yep, I do believe that's it. Now, one of the other things that we'll go over is planetary hazards. These are things that are unique to every individual planet. Some of them don't have any. Some of them have like Errata Prime, where, you know, it's fire. Fenrir is cold. Now there is an extra modifier to these planets where Fenrir has meteor storms. Have yet to see these. And Errata Prime has, I believe, fire tornadoes. And, you know, there's going to be more for every individual planet now. If we took a look around, Draupnir still has all of its. Malevelon Creek, with no idea what that one is. But, you know, it adds over to the overall variety. So, you know, I'm really excited to take a look at all these new planet modifiers. I will definitely be recording footage of these new modifiers, as well as playing with the new armor values and also the different stratagem changes, along with some of my friends. So you guys definitely keep an eye out for when we're going to be recording those and uploading those to YouTube. But I think that's it for all the patch note changes. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a moment to definitely hit the like button and subscribe, leave a comment. It makes a complete difference, and it definitely motivates me to keep making Helldivers content. You know, this is a game that I love, and I want to tell you guys about everything that I know, you know, exchange that information between everybody. But hey, until the next video, guys, thank you so much for checking this out. I'll see you next time.